My name is Max Rees. I'm the Secretary of the Rivers and Red Gum Environment Alliance. I have here with me Peter Newman, who's the Chairman of the Alliance, and Kevin Tolhurst, who's a fire ecologist with the University of Melbourne and the School of
Forest and Ecosystem Science. Yeah.
And we're here to have a look at the levels of fuel in the forest and to see if we can determine what sort of damage there may have been to habitat trees from this prescribed burn in the forest on Thursday, October 16th. I wonder if you can just tell us a little bit about the fuel levels. We're standing on the opposite side of the track to the burn. The burn's about 80 metres away from us. What can you tell us about the fuel levels here, Kevin?
Well, I guess if you're looking at the fine fuels, which is largely the leaf and bark material on the ground and the dead grasses and so on, it's probably around 12 to 14 tonne per hectare of fine fuels. And then you've got woody material, which would add significantly to it. I guess without assessing it, I guess what I can see around here would be adding up to perhaps somewhere between 30 and 50 tonne per hectare of woody material as well. Some of the very large logs add considerably to the total of fuel per hectare, but they don't actually cover much area. It's, I guess the smaller branchy material really considerably adds to what you would consider to be debris on the ground. But the fine fuels, as I say, are relatively light here, and that's what you would expect in a forest like this. But the woody components add the majority of the load, but are then quite dispersed.
So any build-up of fuel levels must obviously increase the difficulty of any sort of controlled burn or prescribed burn if there's a build-up of fuel in the forest.
Well, the surface fine fuels are the things that really help carry the fire across the forest floor, but it's the woody material that provides the majority of the heat, if you like, that will perhaps cause damage to living trees or heat the soil and provide a ash bed and so on. So the fine fuel is important for spreading the fire, but then the woody material is important in terms of the total heat output, so that the woody material disproportionately adds to the heat effect and therefore the potential damage that it might do to the soil or the surrounding trees. Some key processes that are necessary to keep this forest going, and the climate we can't do much about. There's the water and there's the fire. There's some key processes. But there are values in this forest that exist now that didn't exist 200 years ago. And you've only got to see the roads here. People use the forest. So that's a major value that this forest had that it didn't have to the same extent 200 years ago. People use the river, people use the surrounding environment. So all the values have changed in a way, and it's a matter of really finding the mix of management that allows all those things to coexist. And I don't think that's, in a sense, this ideal world where you try to manage the environment and pretend people don't exist and that change of the last 200 years hasn't happened is a nonsense, because we've only got to look at the weeds in the forest and the pest animals here. It's a very different environment. But if we can keep the processes going here, we can get the most out of this forest for the environment, for the people, for the future, without compromising the situation further. I guess it's unrealistic to think that we can just have the environment here in isolation, with no people, with no weeds, with no pests. You just can't do that.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. That's what we're talking about, that the
sort of forests, in a sense that there's been some wet years and the red gum's occupied the area, but they may well sort of disappear again and they become more sort of grassy areas. But again, there are core areas of, if you like, the red gum forest which have to be maintained. So I mean, there's probably a hierarchy of areas that have values that need to be enduring, and other ones that are going to be much more sort of transient. And,
Well, even in my lifetime, you know, there's lots of open areas in the forest that never had red gums on them when I was a kid, that are now red gums, you know, young red gums, and there probably aren't red gum areas. They probably shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Just a series of
that's
wet
one
years.
of the interesting points, talking about the ecological vegetation classes before, that 95% of the open red gum forest that was here pre-1750 still exists. The red gum woodland's taken a real battering because that's where the canola fields are and all of that. You'll never turn that back, that's gone. But 95% of open red gum forest that was here pre-1750 still exists today. And that's the primary focus of the VEAC recommendation, is open red gum forest. So people are under the impression that we're down to the last few hectares of red gum forest and we've got to do something about it, otherwise it'll all be gone. And that's not to say that it doesn't need protection and it doesn't need conserving, we all recognise that, but it just needs to be put in a context of what do we have here today and what was there prior.
And as things evolve, I've been here all my life.
We're about to.
So I think just from the the land manager's point of view, they've got to try and sort of bring together all those complex issues, and they need the support of the public and the government to make that happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Just coming out with a glossy report doesn't achieve that.
No, it certainly does not.